much air I will need to breathe when your tide rushes over me. There's only one way to figure out. Will you let me drown? Yeah, will you let me drown? And hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire. 'Cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm married, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. And the water is rising quick, and for years I was scared of it. We can't be sure when it will subside, so I won't leave your side. No, I can't leave your side. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire. 'Cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm married, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. In a daydream, I couldn't live like this. I wouldn't stop until I found something beautiful. But when I wake up, and all I want I have, you know it's still not what I need. Something beautiful. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire. 'Cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm married, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful.
Okay, I'm very excited for this morning. It's so interesting because I'm so used to speaking, like in Australia and even on missions trips in Turkey. But for some reason, coming here, I'm the most nervous I've ever been. I think it's just because I know you all and love you all so much that I just have great respect for you all. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Trayza Stobbe-Fright. I'm 21 years old. I started attending the Open Door Church when I was, I believe, 16 or 17 years old. And I'm thankful for Joan, and I'm thankful for the opportunity I've had to come speak here at this church. It wouldn't be possible for me to be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for you guys, for the love, the support, the prayer, everything. Everything matters when you're out there, so thank you very much for all your support. Now, a bit about me. I graduated in Morris School in 2013. I went to YWAM Australia right after I graduated to do a discipleship training school with YWAM. I came back home, studied for a year here in Canada, and then decided to go back into YWAM. So if you asked me a year ago what my passions were, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell you. I could have told you music and maybe movies or something like that, but I really didn't know what I was passionate for. And it's just come to me in the past year and a half that I'm very passionate for people. People just, Jesus, he is passionate for people, and he's definitely shed that passion with me. I love people. I love community. I love building community, transforming communities. I believe it's something that I have all my life, to just bring something to communities. I'm also very passionate for worship and prayer. In the past year, that has been something that has been very highlighted to me in my life and internationally. What God's doing with prayer and worship is amazing. He's lighting up different communities to really pray, to really intercede. I'm also very passionate for discipling. It's something that's very natural to me, and I believe that it's very natural to everyone. I think that it's just something that God's put inside of you to love other people and to really help them grow and walk alongside them. And I'm also very passionate for developing, whether that's communities or people, nations. I really love just seeing things growing together. Now, it was last year in 2015, and I flew to Gold Coast, Australia, to work with the YWAM base there. I hadn't been to that base long term. I'd only been at that base for a week in 2013. So I had knew a few people at that base, but didn't really know what God was doing there. I was like, okay, God, I want to surrender everything to you. I knew at that point I wanted to go, and I knew I had a calling for missions. So it was at that time where I said, okay, God, yes, I will go to Gold Coast, Australia, which is very, very far, away from family, away from the community I love, and I will see what you have for me there. And so YWAM Gold Coast is on the east coast of Australia. It's south of Brisbane, and it is a smaller base in YWAM. YWAM is Youth with a Mission. It's an international organization, and this base in Gold Coast, it's amazing. It's small, it's community. I think we have about 40 staff on base, and so that's including myself, and so it's growing. It's very cool to see where God's called me to, because as soon as I landed there, they were telling me of how much God's speaking to them about community, about how much God's speaking to them about growing. And so I was like, whoa, like God's called me here, for community, for growing people. And so I'm like, this is sweet. Like I'm at a base where this is their passion and we're running with it. So it's very cool. At this base, we have 4 main values, which is training, hospitality, mercy ministries, and evangelism. So a lot of what I do out of the year is based with those 4 things. Basically, mercy ministries, that's normally one that people don't fully understand, but that's just basically meeting the needs of people. So we run 4 different ministries, one of which is called Coffee Van. So everyone loves coffee. I'm not one of them. I'm not a huge fan of coffee, but I go to this. And basically all we do is hand out coffee and hand out tea for free, and on the streets in the city. And we're basically just talking with people. If they need support through something, we have people there to support them through prayer. If they need financial help, we have places to set them up to go to where they can just get, because a lot of the time it's these homeless people who we're meeting with, and they just need love. That's all they need. So it's great to be able to just give them the love and mercy of God as well. We love training. This base is built for training. Not only do we run discipleship training courses, but we also have many other ways to train up leaders. I'm in one of those training programs called the C4CM, which is a 2-year commitment, and it's basically they're training me up in all sorts of different ways. I'm being stretched and pulled in so many different directions, and it's amazing. It's fun, it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding as well. And so that's a bit about the base. But now what I kind of want to talk to you about is when I was getting to the base, my transitioning and community type of season. It was last May when I flew there, and of course I was pumped. Who wouldn't be pumped to go to Australia? Like, you're excited, you're fresh, you don't really know what you're doing, you trust God, you're saying, okay, here I am, send me, yes, all of that, and you get there, and you're like, okay, I'm sent, here I am, and you miss your family, I missed Open Door, I missed working at Morris School, I missed everything about Morris, like, I just missed Morris. And so the first 2 months were hard. I didn't understand why he had sent me there. I didn't understand why I was so connected with Morris, and he basically picked me up and put me somewhere else. I didn't really understand that. I was thinking, okay, I was getting so connected in Morris. Why did you send me here? And of course, after 2 months of being there, I started getting connected with people. I started to really get to know, meet new friends, just get connected with the base. I started to build community there. And it was really only, I think, 6 months after being in Gold Coast where I realized if it weren't for the community I had here, I wouldn't I would be quite lost. I wouldn't have any prayer support. I wouldn't have any financial support. I wouldn't have any support. I realized that because of the connections I made here in Morris, that's what enabled me to go and do this. Of course, God works miracles. Of course, if that didn't work, if I wasn't very good at connecting, he would have done other things to help me go. But it was through those connections where I was able to go to YWAM Australia. And so that kind of, that really gave me a new perspective on what I was doing in Gold Coast, and I really wanted to make Morris proud. I wanted to be like, okay, I'm building God's kingdom here. Doesn't mean that I can't help build God's kingdom here in Morris. I wanted to, create it internationally and globally. So it was very awesome to just see how God's using me in both places, and as well I'm seeing how important community is, how important relationships are, because we are built for relationships. Now, to give you a bit of a background on what I actually do at YWAM Gold Coast, I'm a part of 3 circles, we call them. So I'm a part of the Discipleship Training Circle, I'm also a part of the School of Worship Circle, and I'm a part of the Community Events Circle. So basically, what a discipleship training school is it's a 6-month program, 3 months lecture phase, 3 months outreach phase, and it's designed to disciple people, obviously. It's designed to help people grow no matter what their age is. I think that there's different targeting for DTSs, obviously. I've been a part of a Billabong to Beach DTS. So that's basically targeted to Aboriginals in Australia. We have, just like we have natives here, we have Aboriginals in Australia. It's basically targeted to them because we live about 5 hours from the outback. So we go there, we make annual trips there, just see how we can help them, what we can do there to support them. As well, I was a part of a music and creative arts DTS. Now that one was my favorite by far. It was the biggest DTS that this base had seen with 19 students. So it seems small, but to this base, 19 students was massive. They didn't even know what to do. They didn't have enough housing. We had to quickly rent housing for them. We had to quickly figure out where to space them, and it was incredible. I saw people transform over 3 months of lecture phase, but I also saw people coast through lecture phase, not really care, because there's people who come to DTS with all different sorts of reasons, but I saw people transform on outreach phase. Once they got to a different country, new environment, not having Wi-Fi, not having enough food, just when your physical things are set back, and maybe your first world things are set back, it's amazing how people rely on God for those things. So I see people transformed on both ends. And the other, as well, on these DTSs, I led a team to Turkey for a 2-month outreach, and it was amazing. It was my second time in Turkey. The first time I went was 2013. When we went in 2013, I was a student, so I wasn't as bold as a leader. I was just kind of having fun, doing whatever. We didn't see many salvations. We didn't see many healings, which was a little discouraging. Of course, when you go on outreach, you want to see all of these amazing things. You want to see God move physically. But the second time I went, I was obviously more mature, and I knew how important prayer was. So I drilled my students. I'm like, okay, we're not going to Papua New Guinea. We're not going to Philippines. We're going to Turkey. This is a Muslim nation, so we're not going to be able to see 100 salvations a day. I'm like, we're not going to see 100 healings a day. Of course, let's believe for that. But I'm like, we need to realize how important prayer is. We need to make a foundation for Turkey so that the next time a team comes here, it's so covered in prayer that they're going to see the healings. They're going to see the salvations. But when we got there, it was amazing because we saw healings. We heard testimonies of so many salvations, of so many Muslim people seeing God in dreams. So many hard testimonies because these people, when they give their life to God, they leave everything behind. So it was an eye-opener for all of us to see that, yes, we have so many sacrifices and we make every day. And ours, don't compare. Comparison is bad. Don't compare your sacrifices to other people's. But these people literally sacrifice everything to follow Jesus. I was just like, it was amazing. So our time in Turkey was well spent. As well, I was a part of the School of Worship. So this is a secondary school with YWAM. It's basically training you to be a worship leader. I didn't know why I was doing the school. I never thought about being a worship leader. I don't really, that's something that God's still working in me. But I realized that when I was doing this school, it was all about the heart. It was all about learning who God is, learning who you are in Him. And it was a lot about intimacy. A lot of what I'm wanting to share about today is intimacy. And I'm also a part of the community events circle at the base. Every Tuesday night, we have community night. The base started it as soon as I got there. And we basically invite other people outside of just YWAM. We want to make sure that we're creating not just a YWAM bubble, but we want to create a family environment. So if we meet people at church, we've been spending multiple months with them, well, invite them to community night. And it's different every time. Me and another lady at the base decide what to do. We plan it. It can be one night we're going to go play Capture the Flag. It's very fun. Another night we might have a movie night. Another night we might have like a baking competition, or we might do a minute to win it competition. Like, it's all very different. It's very fun. Like, that's probably one of the favorite things I do. And I think it's one of the favorite things I do at the base because it's outside of a school. I love being a part of the schools. The whole 14 months I've been there, I've been a part of a DTS or a school of worship. But the community events gives me a chance to step outside of those schools and really invest my time in the wider base. Because I love community. But there's something that really, I went to YWAM and I didn't see the big picture. I only saw the small picture. I didn't see what God was doing internationally. I only saw what God was doing right at my footstep. And so it was in March where the base asked me to be the school leader for this upcoming Music and Creative Arts DTS. Being a school leader just means you plan it. So you figure out the speakers, you figure out what kind of events you want to do in it, you figure out the outreach locations, you figure out who you want to staff it, all of those things. And they asked me that, and I said, no. I said, I'm going to support the school leader. I don't want to be the school leader, but I will support them. I will do anything they want me to do. And they're like, okay, just think about it, whatnot. And then the next week, they took me to a regional DTS leaders meeting with YWAM, and that's basically where our region of bases meet together. They try to meet about once a month to discuss what is happening in the DTS, schools. Talk about the curriculum, talk about are the staff being well trained enough, all of these things. And I'm thinking, okay, you brought me to this meeting obviously because you want me to see the bigger picture here. You want me to, of course say yes to leading the school, but I think they could tell that I wasn't seeing the big picture of what God's doing. And I'm so thankful I went to this meeting, because after this meeting I did say yes to leading the school, which starts in September, so I'm very excited. But as well, after this meeting, I was very challenged because I had realized that I'm not very good at dreaming with God.